Raheem's dead. Somebody shot him. Hey City Boys, it's me Caine and I'm back again for another video. When I tell you City Boys, I'm going to have like a slight lisp in this video. I have my girls in. They're very fly. But today, City Boys, in this video, we are going to be doing another movie breakdown. I'm trying to like go with the themes of my videos, so like I'm gonna try to dress up as much as I can. But we're gonna be like under consumption. We're gonna use what we have, okay? We're gonna use what we got to get what we want to get, okay? No shade. But in this video, we are going to be talking about the movie Juice. This film came out in 1993. It stars Omar Epps, Tupac Shakur. Oh my goodness, I don't remember the other people's names. We're gonna put them here. In my opinion, if I wanted to break this film down in the most simplistic terms, I would say this film is the Caine and Abel story, but told in New York City. We already know what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the historical context first before we get into the film, so we kind of know what is going on in this world as this film is being written, directed, and produced. There is a big stagnation as it comes to the Black community, especially the way that we're seen in public media. But there's high political corruption going on. April 29th, 1993 in Los Angeles, California, Rodney King was driving in his car and he was stopped. I believe it was for, I think it was like a traffic violation, something like that, like one of those made up charges. And he was beaten by 3 white police officers. They ended up getting acquitted from the charges of racial unrest, especially in the Black American community, because Rodney King was just the publicized version of what was going on every single day. It was the height of the stop and frisk. A lot of Black men were being arrested for having small quantities of drugs on them. Poverty number is rising, so when poverty rises, people get creative when it comes to trying to make money and trying to make, let's say, $1 straight. The LA riots led to a 3-day long riot in California, leading to 50 to 60 people being murdered. I'm going to have to cut in the middle of this because I remember learning about this. This was during like the Black Panthers movement. Watts, California. Marquis and Ronald Fry were pulled over by a white California highway patrol officer while driving their mother's car near the corner of Avalon Boulevard and 116th Street in the Watts neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. Marquis failed a sobriety test and panicked as he was arrested, and Marquis' anger arose at the thought of going to jail. A scuffle broke out between him and one of the officers. Ronald joined in partly to protest the arrest, but also to protect his brother. A crowd began to gather, and backup police arrived under the assumption that the crowd was hostile, which resulted in a fight between someone in the crowd and an officer. Another newly arrived officer jabbed Ronald in the stomach. Marquis was knocked down by the riot baton, handcuffed and taken to the police car. The Fry's brother's mother, Rena, showed up at the scene and believing police was abusing Marquis, rushed to pull the officers off of her, resulting in another fight. As the crowd got angrier about the scene that they had witnessed, more highway patrol officers arrived, using batons, shotguns to keep the crowd back. Hundreds more people flocked to the scene to investigate the sirens. Over 6 days, there were 34 deaths, 1,032 injuries, 3,438 arrests, and over $4 million in property damages. But the same thing ended up happening. It was in Watts, California. Whoa. When I tell you City Boys, nothing is a freaking coincidence. So let's continue. Along with what's going on in the 90s is the rise of rap music, hip-hop. We have people like Biggie. We have people like Tupac, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg. The Chronic just came out, so I'm gonna be honest, right now is the rise of the more gangster rap, the more publicized, like womanizing, drug using, alcohol usage, things like that. I believe at this point in time as well was the whole censoring, the parental advertisement. I don't know, how the hell do you pronounce that word? Advertisement. At this point as well, Charlene Thomas is appointing one of the U.S. Supreme Court judges. It is also the rise of, in rap music, talking about what is going on in our economic system, going on in the Black neighborhoods. It's giving more of a POV of being Black in America. And while it did have its negative points, it did show the true reality that a lot of people are living. With people not born in the urban neighborhoods, they would never understand unless it's from a movie or a TV show. But with these songs, you're hearing the first-hand accounts from these people of what they experienced or what people around them has experienced. This film, I feel like, from what I've observed of Black men, is what it is like to be a Black man in America. It is a fight for masculinity in a world that makes Black men feel worthless or lesser than, unless they have the juice, unless they have some crazy talent or unique ability that separates them from the rest. Because if they're quote unquote like the other black men, they're nothing. If they're like the other black men, they're doomed, basically. When I tell you, City Boys, for years I wanted to watch this film because I always heard people like talk about it, especially, you know, that one scene. I always heard people talk about it, so I was like, you know what, I really want to watch it. But I'm not gonna lie, I was scared that it was gonna be bad because there's a lot of movies that people overhype, and you finally watch it. Name some down below if you know any. And you finally watch and you're like, what the hell is this? I was scared that I was gonna feel like that. So I kind of put it off. But while I was in college, I used to do hair. And while I would do hair, I would put on like movies and like TV shows for us to watch. I ended up having this guy and I asked him, I was like, what do you want to watch? And he had said Juice. I was like, oh, perfect. So it's like, if it's not good, then I don't end up wasting my time because I was gonna be doing this anyway. So you know what I mean? But when I watched it, City Boys, it's a really good film. So, are you guys ready to get down to it? Are you? Are you subscribed? Did you already like? I'm just checking. Okay, let's get into it. So the beginning of this film starts out with, it's like, it's giving blaxploitation a little bit, where you're seeing a drone shot of New York City, and as you watch the movie, you're seeing in the beginning all the spots that the movie's going to hit. So there's a song that is playing, and it says, to the edge, let me see if I know the ledge. All I'm gonna say is, we're gonna put a pin in that. Flash forward, as it shows Quincy, our main guy, waking up. Chapter 1, A Bond of Brothers. The film really starts off with Quincy waking up, and it's from the scratch of a record. Well, he had his record playing and his mom scratched it to wake him up. He puts in a cassette and he starts to get ready. As he gets ready, we're shown his other friends getting ready for the day as well. And then we are shown Steele. So as we're shown Steele, we hear lines from a cassette tape playing. I don't know if this is Quincy cassette playing or it's just the overall sound, but the sound is this. You're just a man sitting in the rear. You're just a man, stick it to the man. And it's playing as we are shown Steele, showing who his character is in the film. So the first thing I wanted to touch on is the camera angles, right? So during the scene when we're introduced to Steele, he's being woken up, well, yeah, first from his father and then from his brother. And when the camera pans on his father, the angle is from, like, let's say like his father POV looking down on him. But when it's shown on Steele, it's the POV looking up. And every single time there is a person of authority, well, a person that these boys deem as having authority, their angle is always down, okay? The next thing I wanted to touch on just real quick, because y'all know I'm into the numbers. We'll get to the gematria at the end, but y'all know I'm into my numbers. What number is Steele's brother's jersey that he's wearing? It is 24. 4 plus 2 is what? 6. City Boys, let's go. I feel like it is hinting to the impending doom that is about to meet this group of boys. So the next scene that we are shown now is Tupac's character getting ready. And in Tupac's house, what color is the surroundings? It is a light green. We're gonna get to that later. We're shown his grandmother and she's cooking breakfast, but the way that the camera angles are set up is that she is so far from him, and she's like there, but she's not there. I don't know how to explain it to you, but I'm gonna put up the picture. And she's talking to him, she's greeting him, but the voice like kind of echoes, and it shows that even though they are in the same house, they're in the same living spaces, the relationship is still very distant. She sounds very loving, she sounds very caring, but there's still a separation as it relates to them two having a relationship or having a bond. Next, we are shown Tupac's father, and he is sitting in front of a television. I believe there's like some like black and white like cartoon or something playing. He looks like he's disassociating from everything that's taking place, and like he's zoning out. Then we see the camera work again. We see Tupac's father, then we see Tupac all the way in the shadows. Then if it shoots again, he's in a focus and Tupac's not in a focus, which shows there's a complete dissolve of the relationship. Physically, he's there. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and even financially, he's not there, because we also see Tupac giving him some money. But in the scene as well, I want you guys to remember the type of jewelry and the amount of jewelry that Tupac is wearing. He only has a gun necklace on. He has 3 earrings in, okay? So next we are shown Raheem getting ready for school or to go out with his friends. And he's in the bathroom. His sister's trying to like coerce him out the bathroom, trying to like give him money and like bribe him to get out. And what color is Raheem's house? Light blue. And that is the first real, well, not the first, because I just told you guys about the color of Bishop's house. But the light blue is the impending doom. For one, I already discussed in my coffee video, what does blue mean? Blue indicates the throat chakra. Sadness, impending doom, maybe? So does it mean that Raheem's voice is going to lead to something negative happening for his character? I don't know. I don't know. Did you watch the movie? I don't know. But as Raheem is going back and forth with his sister, it just reminds you that these are actually just young boys. They're in high school. So next we are shown Q, or Quincy, now really getting ready to go to school. So we see him sitting next to his little brother, and he's trading out like what shoes that he want to wear. Like first he had a pair of like black and white sneakers and a pair of white sneakers, and he landed on a pair of brown sneakers, city boys. Pin in that. We're gonna put a pin in that. Q is wearing a yellow and navy blue striped shirt, city boys. So what does that show if we're going to talk about color theory? Yellow would be, I guess, the more grounded. Blue would be the more whimsy, right? So he's in between realism and a fantasy life because, for one, he's also young. When you're younger, your mind is still a little bit more aloof to the dangers of this world, to how grimy this world can actually be and how grimy people around you can actually get. Now the boys are on their way to school, and we end up seeing Raheem, and Raheem is with this girl named Keisha. So we find out that Raheem has a kid, okay? He has a son with Keisha, and in this scene, Raheem is wearing a red jacket with a black top. Keisha is wearing a orange jacket, and the baby is wearing a red jacket with a red hat. We're gonna put a pin in that. Raheem wants to get Keisha back. He wants to be a family. He wants to raise his kid with both parents. And Keisha's basically telling him that, Raheem, you're not a man. And until you man up and stop running behind your friends, there is no reason for you to be in your kid's life. And she told him that she just doesn't want her kid to be a fuck up like him and his friends. That really hurts him. That hurts him. So he calls her a bitch. And she ends up leaving, and now he is talking to Q. You know, they're just kikiing. Raheem was telling Q like, oh, I should have let you have her. Q said, girl, I let you have her. He said, oh shoot, you right. Oh yeah, so when Keisha was walking right, he was like, fuck you, bitch, I don't need you anyway. When I tell you, it was messed up what she said. It was messed up. But one thing about men, when you turn them down, oh, can I tell y'all a little story? I know, I'm always... You remember how I told you I used to get bullied, right? So one of the people that used to bully me the most, city boys, tell me why. Years later, I'm in college, and you know, I'm cute, I'm T, and he ends up following me on Instagram, right? And he DM'd me, flirting down. And I told him, I was like, you know, I'm not interested, like, you know, I'm good. Girl, why he said, oh, I didn't want you anyways, that's why you look like a man, you look transgender. Okay, girl. Okay, queen. Okay, queen. Mind you, at this time, it is just Q and Raheem together. Bishop is woken by himself, and still, he ended up getting called back by his mom to come upstairs and fold up his bed, girl. As Bishop is woken by himself, all you hear is, so you wanna be a gangster. And then this guy named Rodimus ends up coming up, and Rodimus is this Hispanic guy, and he just N-word this, N-word that, N-word this, N-word that, but I don't see no N-words. You know what I mean? I'm hearing N-words, but I don't see no N-words. I don't like it. That's why I remember I was watching, what's it called, Saturday Night Fever with John Travolta, because I was like, oh, I love the Bee Gees. You know, the Bee Gees helped write the soundtrack for the movie. I'm watching it, and I think like the first like 25 minutes, I heard N-word, and all I saw was Italians. I'm like, where's the N-word? And I said, yeah, I got to turn this off. It's not for me. It's not for me. So basically, Rodimus is just cussing Bishop out, calling him just all type of punks, telling him that he is a Batiman, telling him that he gay, and he gay like his daddy, and he better hope he never ever go to jail because he gonna get bent like his daddy in prison. Telling Bishop that's why your daddy don't talk, because the men had him flipping and dipping and slipping on soap in prison. While Rodimus is saying all this, Bishop is not really quiet, but like he's taking it. He a punk, so he's just taking it. But as soon as he sees Raheem and Q, he already knew he gonna get backed up, so he started acting all bad because Raheem is gonna come and break it up, because Raheem is the leader of the pack. I would say it's like Raheem, and then it's Q, but Q is not even in no formation. Q just is there, but it's Raheem and Q. Then, well, in Bishop's mind, it's Bishop and Steele, but I would say Steele and Bishop, because Bishop is a punk. Steele is not a punk. While Raheem comes to break it all up, the owner of the convenience store that they're standing out of ends up coming with a gun and telling these boys to skedaddle, basically, skedaddle. So as they run away, then we end up getting Steele. The whole crew is together, and we're now seeing just how all the boys interact. The boys basically ask Steele, like, where were you? So much happened, like, where were you? Why Steele over here? Like, oh, I was over here getting some coochie, girl. But yeah, so Steele basically tells him that he met up with a girl from their school and how they end up having sex and how he had her on the stovetop, girl. And all this kind of stuff. So the boys is like, they already knew he was lying. They knew he was lying. So they was like, oh, does she still have the tattoo? He said, girl, I didn't have time to look at the tattoo, because by the way we was getting to work, whew, oh, she might not have a tattoo left. This is all happening. The boys are like making fun of him because they're like, oh, you know she's like transgender, right? Like, you know she's a man. And I found this scene very interesting because as it comes to Q, right? When they're like, oh, she's transgender, Q is acting very feminine, wrist flicked out, like walking with a swish in his hip and all that. But when Bishop, and mind you, Raheem is just laughing. Raheem just laughs. But while Bishop is doing it, he's doing the manly voice. I don't know. I think it is me just reading too deeply into it. But once I already had it in my mind, I just started seeing things that connected to it a little bit. With me already having the feelings that Bishop has a complex feeling as it relates to his sexuality and his masculinity. Let me not just say sexuality. Not sexuality. Let me say masculinity and not really feeling like a man, especially because he is a weakling in his whole group of friends. I feel like him doing, I don't know. But now we are showing the boys hangout spot, which I guess is a lot of kids that skip school hangout spot. Arcade kind of retail store kind of setup. You can see that Q makes a hustle being a DJ, and he would make CDs and tapes for parties and he gets paid for it. He was trying to make a deal, trying to, you know, sell his CD for $15 because the last part he did, it was busting. Like, it was very tea. So he's going to charge for his worth, not for the work. You know, yeah, for his worth, not the work. This is like one of my favorite scenes because we keep going back and forth in a conversation with Samuel L. Jackson. Yes, and I don't even think he was credited in this film. He's like talking to this guy and all you hear is, yeah, she got that snappy nappy dugout. I would ask, what does that mean? But I think I know exactly what that means. I think I can make a educated guess. So then we are shown Bishop and Steel. They're playing, I think it was Street Fighter. Oh, if I win, I'm gonna beat that ass. If I lose, I'm gonna beat that ass. I felt that. As a sore loser, I definitely felt that. While all of this is happening, what happens? Samuel Jackson looks out the window and the police is there because these kids are skipping school. So they come, they storm the place, trying to get the kids, either take the kids or get the kids to run away, basically, to go either somewhere else or back to school. As this is happening, Samuel Jackson cues the kids and they start running. But why are they running and still playing the game? If somebody told you they're gonna beat you up if you win and they're gonna beat you up if you lose, does it really matter if you play the game or not? No shade. Chapter 2. So you want to be a gangster. So we get a running scene, City Boys, a chase scene, City Boys. So we are shown Bishop and Q running away from these two white police officers. When I tell you, they are going crazy. They are parkouring like down. 2 years ago, they wouldn't be able to get me. Except when it comes to jumping off the roof. I ain't doing all that. I ain't doing no. You gonna have to just get me. No shade. But if we doing the running up the stairs, jumping and all that, like hitting, you know what I mean? I'm gonna turn into Scooby-Doo. All you gonna see is heads popping out of doors. No shade. But as they're doing all this, this is a foreshadowing for what is going to take place at the very, very end of the film, okay? The boys end up finally getting away from the police officers. They end up jumping across from one roof to the next roof. The police officers, they ain't doing all that. And I'm sorry, you ain't paying me enough to over here acting like I'm Jackie Chan with no mattress at the bottom trying to catch me. No net. They end up going back to school to meet up with Still because Still got caught. They ran out of the school. A security guard was trying to chase them down, but he ended up stopping because he's just like, girl, fuck these kids, girl, no shade. After they leave from the school, you just see them walking in the park together. I'm not gonna hold you, like, this just reminds me of just like being in high school, being in middle school, and it's just like you just laugh with your friends, you giggling, like, what it is to be young. As they're just laughing and they're just hee ha with each other, why is there this white man? And, you know, he's just so disturbed by black joy. He's just so uncomfortable, you know? He sees a group of black boys. He just thinks that they're all thugs are gonna, like, I don't know, beat him up and steal his briefcase or something. So he, like, starts to walk off the path of, like, the sidewalk, the concrete. And they, like, they, like, jump scare him. Like, I thought it was so funny. Like, they startle him. As they're walking, Q ends up seeing this huge poster for this, like, mixer competition. And he really wants to join because right now, he's only known, like, around school type things. Like, around kids his age. Going to, like, house parties. But he wants to extend himself. He wants to broaden his horizon. So he's talking to his friends about it, saying, like, you know how excited he is to join? Like, he really thinks he might win. When I tell you, Bishop is such a hater, bro. You don't need no haters if you have a friend like Bishop. Bishop is basically telling him, like, oh, you're just like a hometown kind of guy. Like, you're just a local kind of guy. Like, you will never beat the guys that be winning these kind of competitions. Like, you're not on their level. And we end up finding out that the winner of this deal gets a 6-month record deal. What did I tell you about these numbers, City Boys? And what do we already know about the record industry, City Boys? As Q is just talking about, like, how much he wants to win this because it will actually help him with his career and, like, his future when it comes to music. Why is Bishop over here talking about, instead of worrying about a music career, we need to worry about Rodimus. He gonna beat us up. He gonna try to get us. For one, no, Rodimus don't like you. Rodimus don't have a problem with Q. Rodimus don't have a problem with Raheem. Or even still. He got a problem with you. So that's your business. But you see what I mean? Like, when people don't got stuff going on for themselves, City Boys, they gonna be wanting to, like, make sure that you don't got nothing going for yourself. So they either gonna distract you, City Boys, or they just gonna prey on your downfall. And Bishop is doing 1, 2, 3, D, all the above. Bishop just keeps telling Q that he's a local. You a local, you a local. And Raheem, just being, like, the good leader that he is, he tells Q that he's his favorite local, though. You can see that, like, it kind of made him feel a little bit of, like, you know, a little comfort. But at the end of the day, what is it to have friends that are against you? Now the scene changes and the boys are on their way to go to the record store because Q needs some new, like, CDs and stuff for his mixing. Q is distracting the lady at the cash register, and Raheem and Bishop are giving Stale different records to take. City Boys, when I tell y'all, City Boys, you know I like to be in depth. Y'all know I like to get very much into the details. I was trying to find all the vinyls that they stole, City Boys. And I was going to listen to the music so I could find a deeper meaning and connect it to each character, City Boys. You know I like to get out the box. Why else are you watching these videos? You know what I mean? I want to talk about things that people usually don't talk about in these films. City Boys, I was only able to find one of the records. Well, 2 of the records. We're gonna get into that right now. So as the boys are stealing the vinyls, Q is distracting the worker. And this is the reason why I did this look with my girls in the red lip. Because she turns around, you know, you saw a little bob at first. She turns around, light-skinned girl, big lips, big teeth, one gold tooth, red lipstick. I'm not gonna, like, was she cute? No. But was she ugly? No, you know? But, like, they made her seem like she was, like, the ugliest thing in the world. And, like, it kind of surprised me, especially because of the time period in which this came out. Like I said in previous videos of mine, especially where I live, where I've grown up around, and the people I've grown up around, if you are light-skinned, that's it. That's all you need. You could look like an alligator's under thigh. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, you're so gorgeous. Such a unique face. After the boys get out from the record store, they're now just walking towards, I believe they're on their way to Steele's apartment. And as they're on their way, Raheem, being the leader that he is, he said, girl, I want some cigarettes. Q, go in there and get me some cigarettes. So Q's like, wait, why me? And Raheem said, girl, it's your turn. That's why it's you. Like, the heck? So as he goes into his building, the outside is a dark blue color. And then they have this one single brown door. City Boys, you know I'm gonna get into it. You know I'm gonna get into it. He walks inside, he goes to pick up the cigarettes, and he ends up seeing this guy named Blitz. So we end up finding out that Blitz just got out of jail. Blitz and Q are having a conversation. Q is like, you know, how's everything going? Like, how's life been outside of jail? All this kind of stuff. And Blitz is like, you know, everything's going cool. Like, you know, I'm chilling. Like, I'm just trying to get, you know, I'm trying to adapt to, you know, everything that's going around. And as it's happening, he's looking around. He's looking a little suspicious. Girl, why the hell he pull out a gun? And he starts to stick up the whole place. And he tell everybody, take your clothes off and put your hands up. And why what he's doing is, he asks Q, oh, you want to get in on this? Like, you want a piece? Because I can give you a piece. You want a piece of this? You want to hit this? Let me stop. You want a piece of this? And he says, no, I'm good. As Q is leaving, you hear Blitz talking to one of the hostages. And he says, damn, you look good. And I'm not going to hold you. God forbid. I hope I'm never in a situation like this. But God forbid I'm in a situation like this and they tell me to get naked, put my hands up, and the person that told me cap, they tell me I look good. At first I'm like, like, I'm gonna be like blushing, like, don't shade, because it's a compliment. But then I feel like I'm gonna come back to reality of like, oh no, I'm being held captive. Like, this is not of my own will. And then it's gonna be like, damn, I can't get out of here, you know? Well, anyways, so Q comes out of the store, the establishment, and it looked like kind of like a bar kind of situation. And he's telling them like, hey, like, Blitz is in there, like, robbing the place right now. Why the hell Bishop's over here like, all right, let's go inside. Q was like, girl, are you slow? He's over here like, oh no, like, let's get a part of it. Like, let's get on it. Like, this is our chance to really become those guys. Like, we over here getting punked out every single day, running from Rodimus, running from Quiles, like, let's just really become men today. Q was like, yeah, you must be slow. Like, you must be losing a couple screws. Because if we go in there, we're gonna die. Like, it's not going to end good for us at all. After they end up pulling Bishop away from the store, they end up continuing to make their way to Steele's house. And on their way, we end up seeing Keisha, Raheem's baby mama, getting in a car with this man in a red car. And we end up finding out from Bishop ends up whispering into Raheem's ear, and he's like, oh, I think she found her a real man now. Some shit like that. You know he lame. He lame, so you want Raheem to be, you know, feel like how he feel all the time. Like trash. So they end up getting into Steele's house, and we see Steele is making them breakfast. And it's like he made like eggs mixed with like ham. And it looked like he poured a little bit of that 40 in there. And he drank a little bit, then poured a little bit. And then scrambled it up. But then we are shown the boys now in the living room. And Q is in his own world. He has his headset on. He's listening to his cassettes. I think it's a CD player. He's listening to his CD player. We see Raheem and we see Bishop. And Bishop and Raheem are watching this movie. But we can see that Bishop is way more into the movie. We find out that this movie is White Heat. When I tell y'all, City Boys, how much I care about y'all and how dedicated I am to breaking these movies down, I watch White Heat, City Boys. And when we get to the end of this film, I'm going to show you guys how it ties in to this film. Whew. Well, as the boys are watching the film, you hear, oh my gosh, Bishop is screaming, cackling, kicking his heels, girl, jumping at every gun sound, everything. If you ever have to go out, this is how you go out. You go out with a bang. You go out in style. He took his destiny into his own hands. You don't let anybody choose how you go out. You go out on your own terms. So Steele says some destiny. And this hits Bishop. This hits Bishop because Bishop now sees himself as those characters in White Heat, as the main character from White Heat. So he ends up telling Steele that he has more control over Steele's life than Steele has control over his own life. If he makes Steele stop breathing right now, closes his mouth and makes him stop breathing, he's still gonna die, basically. He's the reason why Steele is able to go about this world. But once he decides that it's no more time for Steele, then he'll take it, just like how he gives it. So Steele is wearing a striped black and white shirt, and that is under his red plaid overall. In medieval Europe, stripes were associated with outcasts, criminals, and those on the fringe of society. This negative symbolism stemmed from the idea that stripes represent ambiguity, unclear boundaries, and a rejection of social norms. Black and white is a balance of good and bad, Steele being the good and Bishop being the bad influence. The reason why I included this portion in now instead of just leaving a pin in it is because it literally coincides with the conversation they just had. Bishop is telling him that he has complete control over his mind. It's giving MK Ultra. If I tell you to jump, you're just gonna ask me how high, you're not even gonna question it. So it's still wearing the black and white. It shows that he is in not only a state of unbalance in the relationship that he has with Bishop, but he's also in a state of hypnotism. So still, I'm not gonna hold you, still coming, and he ends up defending himself, and I really like that. He ends up telling Bishop the truth. You're scared. Like, you're not, how are you talking about you have control over me? You don't even have control over Radamez. You letting Radamez come and punk you out, and you go come to me talking about how you got control over me. You can make me stop breathing when you want to make me stop breathing. Who are you? Become a man in your life first before you try to be a man in my life. No shade. So there ends up being a breaking news. We end up finding out that Blitz was murdered by the police during his attempt to hold up the club or whatever that place was. So as I see this, they're all having different reactions. First, Raheem, Q, and Steele, you can see that they're just like, wow, like what the freak? Like we literally just saw him. Like I just seen him. But Bishop, first he's a little bit thrown back, and then he's over here like, yeah, we should have been there. If we was there, this would have never happened. Like, if we were there, we could have protected him. If we were there, this, that, and that. Girl, Q was like, Bishop, are you slow? If we were there, it would be 3 dead people instead of 1. I don't know if I did that math right. But it would be a lot more dead people than 1. Now, Bishop is taking out his frustration on Q now. So basically, while they arguing back and forth, right? Bishop ends up telling Q, like, I want people to fear me. I want people to not know when I'm going to snap, when I'm going to react. Best believe I'll always react, but they just don't know when. So that's going to always keep them on their toes as it relates to me. Bishop ends up telling Q, like, basically, if you don't do something like that, like, if you're not working drastically, you might as well die. Like, you might as well not be shit because that's basically the type of life that you're going to live. So Q was like, you saying that I'm not shit? And Bishop said, I'll tell your mama that you not shit. So now they gotta fight. So as they fight, and Raheem then comes, he pulls them apart from each other. He's telling them, like, y'all are brothers. Y'all are brothers. Y'all need to stop. Like, this is actually nonsense. Y'all gotta stop. And he forces them to hug each other, and they hug. But you can see that Bishop has something heavy on his heart. Like, he's not over it. I feel like Q could get over it, but Bishop's definitely not over it. Chapter 3. Is the juice worth the squeeze? As the boys are fighting, they end up like slamming into Steele's parents' table, and the table ends up breaking. So the next scene changes, and we see Quincy or Q going up to this house. He's knocking on the door, and we can hear arguing going on inside. And this man ends up opening the door, and he's yelling, "What?" I ain't gonna hold you, close the door and try again. We end up finding out that that is Yolanda's, I guess, ex-husband. And this is kind of weird because, like, she's a grown woman. Like, she has a whole, like, career in an ex-husband. And she messing with a boy. They don't say how old the boys are, but they're in high school. So I would say probably maybe 11th grade. Max, 12th grade. Her ex-husband is, like, there to pick up his stuff. And they are, like, arguing back and forth. And he ends up taking out his frustration on Q. And he's like, Q, like, what's wrong with y'all kids nowadays? Like, what happened to names like Mustafa or, I don't know, Abdullah? Or names like Kwame? And Q ends up telling him, like, my name isn't Q. Like, it's short for Quincy, but I just go by Q because it's just a lot easier. Yolanda ends up giving him, like, a pair of his, like, heart-shaped boxers, girl. He gets embarrassed, he leaves, and then Q and Yolanda end up having freaky time. So Q is now on his way back home, and as he goes up the stairs to get into his apartment, he ends up seeing Raheem, and Raheem ends up telling him that they have a really special meeting that they have to do tomorrow. And Q tells him, like, you know, I could be there, but I won't be there on time because I have my DJ mix contest set thing, so he won't be able to go. And Raheem ends up telling him, like, you know, it's okay, I'll tell the guys that you'll just be coming later. So we are now seeing Q going into his room, and we see the huge mural of Malcolm X, and we see him now practicing his set. And before he starts playing, you can see he looks at the picture of his mom, kisses it, and he's just going crazy. He going to work, he has his headphones in, he going to work. I ain't gonna lie, I could only imagine how freaking loud that is. But his mom comes, and she just sees her son, and she sees him doing something that he's happy with, he's proud of himself with. So the next day we go to the auditions, and it's a long line, city boys. The door opens, because we see Quincy standing on the line. He wearing this nice little, like, olive green number. He wearing all olive, basically. And he has this wooden necklace on. Wooden beaded necklace on. So as the doors open, guess who we see? We see Flex, city boys. Yes, the original Michael Jackson, yeah. We see Flex, and he is getting escorted out by Queen Latifah, and she's just telling him how horrible his set was, how sloppy he is, and how he need to practice for a few more years before he comes back. And he start cussing her out, and she cussing him too. She calls Q in, and then Q plays her his set, and she loves it. So he ends up getting a spot in the competition now. So he's so excited. He does a little skip, joy, hip hop, and as he's walking, we see Samuel L. Jackson. But why he pressed up on a little girl? Samuel. And as he's all up in this girl's face, he says, I think we could be closer than 2 breaths coming out of one nostril. That's too close. So he ends up telling Q that he found out that Q got into the competition, which I felt was so interesting to me because it literally just happened. But he points like, oh, I always got my ears to the street type tease. But truly, I feel like this plays into the whole, like, conspiracy that this is all in Bishop's mind, because only in, like, fictional stuff, or is it non-fiction? No, fictional. Only in fictional things does everybody, like, automatically knows what's going on in everybody's mind type tease, or in everybody's life type shit. Q finally goes to the basketball court to meet up with the boys. He ends up telling them that he got into the competition, like, he got into the contest. And when I tell you, city boys, they do not care. They do not care. They come up saying, girl, we about to rob this goddamn store. Girl. Yes, Quelle's store, he's going to rob it. As this is all happening, Raheem ends up coming up, and Raheem is in all black now. Can we say that's a foreshadowing what's about to happen to Raheem? He comes in, and we end up finding out that Raheem ended up getting a gun so they could rob the store. I believe it was Bishop who said that he has a whole schedule for the police officers and all that, so he knows what time they're gonna go by the store and what time they're gonna pass, so they could just be an in and out kind of thing. They only want to do it for 5 minutes. Q is telling them, like, girl, I cannot rob no store, so I got a contest. Raheem ends up telling Q that, all right, that's perfect. That's our perfect alibi, because if you're at the contest and you just come out for 5 minutes and go back in, nobody's gonna ever think that you guys did anything, like that we did anything. And Bishop is also now in all black, and he has a blue jacket over himself when he's holding the gun. That shows for one his happiness and comfort around the gun. Like, why are you so happy? Why are you so giddy? It's like, if he could, he would pass gas sparkles. That's how giddy he is. So now it's the day of the contest, right? And Q is in the back. He is just nervous. He's in the back room and he's nervous. His friends come in, and instead of trying to, like, comfort him, make him feel comfortable about what he's about to do, like prop him up, give him props, they are like, okay, so we're gonna rob, and then, like, when we're done with this, as soon as you finish, we're just gonna get out and rob, and then we're gonna rob him, and then rob him with the gun that we, like, stole and got. We're gonna rob him. So get out there and scratch those records so we can hurry up and rob and come back from robbing. Before Q was able to go with the guys to rob Quelles, he has to do his first set. So in his first set, the guy against him, the sound that he's using, it keeps saying on repeat, like an N-word, like an N-word. That could probably be shown as, I guess, the forced thoughts of us and other races as it relates to black people. Like, it's not the true representation of who you are as a black person. Because a black person is not the N-word. You're not. But it's something that you had to reclaim. You get what I mean? So if you had to reclaim something, it started off as negative. So if somebody keeps saying, oh, you're doing this like an N-word, it's usually a negative connotation. Trying to hint that the boys are about to play into a negative connotation of black people, which are thieves. So Q goes to play, and he's wearing a white shirt and a black sweater over it. That is the inner fight that he's going through. I'm not gonna hold you guys, though. He eats this set up. So his competition starts playing this mix, and it keeps saying, he wanted all the juice. He wanted all the juice. What does Q's friends want? The juice. So Q wins that portion of the contest, and as he's getting down, you know he's hype, he's happy. As he gets down, he is shot back to reality because none of his friends care. They do not care. I would say Raheem a little bit, he smiled a little bit at him, but Bishop, oh my goodness, you could cut that attitude with a katana sword, city boys. City boys, city boys. I am gonna try my best to fix the audio in this part because I cannot wait too long to film this because, oh my goodness. But if you hear a child screaming, my neighbor's kid, every single day, city boys, like, screams at the top of his lungs. I feel overstimulated. I ain't going. So before they end up going inside the store, they're like scoping the scenery out, right? So like I said, Bishop said that he had the whole time schedule for the police officers down to a point, right? So as the police officers go past this corner store, we see what? We see a diamond on the back of Bishop's jacket. I feel like for me, it is telling us as an audience, keep our eyes on Bishop because he is about to do something that is going to change the He's about to do something that's going to change the trajectory. I'm sorry, these girls are really fucking with me. I'm sorry, city boys, I have to take it off because I'm just tired of lisping. His actions are about to change the trajectory of this film. When I tell you, he comes in, right? And they end up telling Quales to turn his head, and his head is facing what, city boys? The yellow candles. We're gonna put a pin in that. His head is facing the yellow candles. He keeps telling them, like, you can take everything that you want. Please just don't kill me. Just don't kill me. Please take anything you want. So Raheem comes, he takes the money out the register, and as they are leaving the store now, why the hell does Bishop turn around and shoot Quales? So after he shoots him now they're all running, and they end up running into an abandoned building. While they run into this abandoned building, Raheem starts to confront him, because, like, why? Like, what in your mind made you think that it was the right decision to shoot this man? Especially because he's even looking at you. Like, he couldn't even identify you. And Bishop is basically saying, like, oh, he'll know our voices. He'll remember our voices. Mind you, he didn't even call no names out. Okay, so he's just trying to find any kind of excuse. Oh, he moved. Oh, whatever it may be. And Raheem is basically telling him, just give me the gun. Just give me the gun, because this is not even what's supposed to happen. And at the end of the day, Raheem is the one who bought the gun too. He would end up being tied a lot deeper into the crimes because he's the one who got the gun. As this is all happening, Raheem is trying to take the gun from Bishop. Why Bishop turn around and shoot Raheem? And he over here talking about, oh, he was fighting with me for the gun, so I had to shoot him. He been wanting to do this. He been wanting to do this because, what did I say? He a punk. He a punk, city boys. And what do punks want to do? They want to feel masculine. They want to feel like a man. And I don't mean punk as in gay. I mean punk as in a weak man. A very weak man. I've seen very strong gay men. Okay? He shoots Raheem, and then the boys end up running because they got to get away now, because now it's another shot. The police are going to come and check this place out. Why, as they're running away, Bishop runs. He comes back, because mind you, I told you, Raheem took the money. Why he go in Raheem's pockets to get the money out? As he goes to get the money out of his pocket, Raheem used his last bit of strength that he grabbed him. And Bishop looked at him, pushed his hand to the side, and ran away, girl. So now they're in another abandoned building. And as they're in this abandoned building, Steele is laying on the floor. He hyperventilated. That would be me. I ain't gonna hold you. If I were to experience something like that, I think my head would just explode. Like how those people that eat the airheads, it would just explode, because I can't be here no more. Like, I can't. Either that, or like, I'm gonna have to drop a smoke bomb and just disappear. No shade. Now, Q is confronting Bishop, because he's like, yo, you're crazy. Like, you're actually like, real life crazy. And Bishop is like, don't ever call me crazy. Next time you call me crazy, he pulls out the gun, puts it to Q's head, and he tells Q that he will kill him. He will kill him too. So watch those words, baby. What was it? And Housewives. And it was like, cheers to a girl's weekend. Cheers, bitch. You better watch those B words before you end up in that ocean. Now they end up going back to the DJ contest. And oh my goodness, I love this shot. Like, it was giving me all types and all the best ways of who? Who am I thinking, City Boys? I'm gonna show you the clip. So as it's all going and, you know, Q was going back and forth with Bishop, he ends up telling them that if anybody asks about Raheem, we're just going to say that he got lost at the party. That's it. People get lost at parties all the time. And he is like slapping up Steele and telling Steele to get it together. Because you might be next if you don't get it together. If you want to be a weak link. You can see after killing Raheem, Bishop has a little more confidence. Bishop is basically the new Raheem now. He took Raheem's whole personality, City Boys. Chapter 4. Somebody shot Raheem. They now go back to the club, right? And when I tell you, City Boys, this is one of my favorite shots of the movie. One of my favorite directors is Spike Lee. And I am a whore for some good cinematography. With the perfect shot, you literally do not even have to say anything. All you have to do is just show it. And you know exactly how that person is feeling. So as Q is walking back into the contest now, right? He's like washed in red. His body is kind of like, it's giving unlocked Pokemon character a little bit, and then the wash of red, which I think is so freaking beautiful. And it's like that face shot, and it's just swirling. Like, it's kind of giving like the drunk effect, but you can see like he is just so lost in his mind. Overwhelmed is not even the word of, for one, what he just experienced, seeing one of his best friends being murdered by his other best friend, and then another man getting murdered in front of him. Like, that's a lot to experience in one day. Especially not even being a part of that kind of lifestyle. As Q is now performing, you see like the police officers come in, which is very quick. So the police officers end up coming in and they call Q to come down. And as Q comes down, you end up seeing like Bishop coming and like parting the sea. When I tell you exactly in this whole tonality, Raheem's dead, somebody shot him. When I was like writing my script for this, I was thinking like, how would I react, God forbid, knock on wood, if that happened to my best friend? I feel like I wouldn't even be able to speak English anymore. It's like, I would not, I would sound like Courage the Cowardly Dog. Like, I would have to like turn into Meatball from Aqua Team Hunger Force just so I can physically show you, like, we're doing what's called pick, whatever that damn game is when you draw pictures. That's what I would have to do, because I would not be able to speak, City Boys. And he over here like, Raheem's dead, somebody shot him. It's given voice of Grand Theft Auto. Like, that's what he sounds like. So the scene changes and we see now that there is like a investigation going on, and each of the boys are separated into their own interrogation rooms, and they are questioned by this black and white officer, which you can say good and bad, but they're both given like bad, I guess, like bad cop. So you can see Steele is crying. He is breaking down. Like, he can't hold it together. He's barely holding it together. Then you see Bishop think he outsmarting everybody, and then you see Q is, I'd say for the most part, pretty neutral when it comes to what is going on right now. As Bishop is getting questioned about what happened to Raheem, he ends up bringing up Rodimus's name and saying, oh, it probably has to do with Rodimus. But can we also put a pin into the conversation with the detectives, please? So there's something I want to get back to. So the scene changes and we are now shown Raheem's family, and they are mourning his death. And this is looking like the after the funeral, like the repast, I believe it's called. And everybody's like eating. You see Q and you see Steele. They're sitting on the couch and they're talking to each other. And Steele is basically telling Q like, I just feel so unhappy. Like, this was never supposed to go. Like, I can't eat, like I can't sleep. It's really messing with me. Like, I just keep seeing Raheem. Like, that's all I keep seeing is Raheem. And Q is telling Steele like, I know exactly how you're feeling. Like, that's what I'm dealing with. Have one of y'all spoken to Bishop? Like, have any of y'all heard from Bishop? And they haven't heard from Bishop. But they're feeling really scared and uneasy about him, because especially because he still got the gun. So as they're sitting there, Raheem's sister ends up coming to Q and she gives them food and she just wants them to eat because she wants others to enjoy themselves, because she knows that she's not gonna feel happy anytime soon. So as this is all going on, we hear tears. We hear him crying. The camera pans and we see Keisha, Raheem's baby mama, and she's holding the baby and she's just crying and she's crying. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt so bad, because like, even though yes, she told him that she can't see the kid and all this kind of stuff, it's like, when you're living life, you don't realize how short life really is. You don't realize how precious the time that you have with people really is, because you never know when it's gonna end. And a lot of us, we like to think about age, like, oh, I'm 23, I'm 24, I'm 35, like, I'm mad young, I got time. City boys, you never know how much time you got. You have to appreciate and love those who's in your life right now. Take them where you can take them. Leave them where you have to leave them. But you don't want to have regrets. No regrets. Q ends up going towards Raheem's sister and they're having a conversation. And they're talking about Raheem's mother and how she hasn't been able to just sit down and really take in that Raheem is dead. She's been overworking herself. She's been just trying to keep herself busy so that she doesn't have to sit in her feelings. And as they're saying this, like, the mother's coming by and she's trying to, like, take the plates from them so she can go and wash it. And then we see Still walk away with the mom to help her out. And while Q and Raheem's sister are talking, what I tell you, this creepy mother trucker in the background like this. Girl, it's Bishop, girl. It's Bishop. So Bishop is staring them down. He ends up coming in between the conversation and he hugs Raheem's sister and tells her how much of a brother Raheem wants to him and how he wants to find the people who did this to Raheem. They're not gonna get away with it. All this. When I tell you, city boys, that happens so much. Like, people would literally come to the person who they murdered funeral and act like they ain't never did nothing, city boys. I think that is so disturbing. So the scene changes to the boombox that Q won from winning the competition, and Q was throwing paper balls at it. And his little brother comes into the room and they start to speak, like, you know, just catching up. And his little brother is asking about Raheem. He's telling him, like, you know, what happened to Raheem? Like, somebody shot him, right? And Q was like, yeah, somebody shot him. Like, how did you know about it? His little brother ends up telling him a lot of people over here are talking about it, and one of the boys in their building ends up telling him about it. He asks Q, like, do you know who killed him? And Q tells him, like, no, I don't know who killed him. And his brother's like, all right, well, that's a shame. Like, I really liked Raheem. Like, he was a really good guy. And Q agrees that Raheem is a good guy. And as they're speaking, they're just having their, like, you know, a catch-up conversation, I guess. We end up hearing screaming coming outside from, you know, from outside the window. Why are we showing outside the window and Bishop's outside the window screaming for Q? Girl, Q lay back on that bed. He act like, you know, he can't hear it, whatever. Why, as he's screaming for him, the little brother's about to run to the window to scream back at Bishop to tell Bishop to, like, come up. And he ends up telling his brother, we don't talk to Bishop anymore. And if Bishop comes to see me, just tell him I'm not here. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. And his little brother wants to know a little bit more details, but he ends up telling his little brother, you know, instead of me giving you details, you want that CD player, like, you want my boombox? So he ends up giving him his boombox. Chapter 5. What am I supposed to do now? Since all this stuff is happening and his world basically got turned upside down, Q decides, you know what, let's go back to basics, okay? Let's go back to basics. Let me go to school. He goes to school. I don't know if it's first period, second period, girl, at the end of 5th. But he goes back to school. He goes to his locker. And he's trying to open up his locker. It took him probably like 3 tries, city boys. He did not remember his combination. So as he goes inside his locker, we end up seeing, I'm gonna take a picture of what his locker looked like. We're gonna put a pin in it, and we're gonna go back to it. As he closes his locker, who is standing right there? Bishop. And now we're gonna look at Bishop's jewelry, city boys. Not only is he wearing the gun pendant necklace that he was wearing earlier, but now he has almost a ring on every finger. All gold jewelry, city boys. Pin. Q is standing up to Bishop. Like, he don't got time to play Bishop's games no more. And Bishop have the audacity to look at Q talking about, look at this. The brother finally decides to stand up like a man and throw down. Too bad Raheem had to die first. Raheem had to die first? Last time I checked, Raheem and Q was the one that came to help you when you was getting your booty beat up by Radamas. Not the rest of them. Not even Steel was getting punked out. You. But okay, Bishop ends up telling Q, like, it's over. Everything starts from now. We all go down. We stay together. Ain't no one bigger than the crew, and you know that shit, girl. If I wasn't a girl, and I was a man, and I had probably 2 calluses on the back of my hand, oh, city boys, I would have pimp slapped the hell out of that boy. I would have pimp slapped the hell out of, like, taste out that boy's mouth, city boys. You know, with some people like him, you gotta remind them who they are. You gotta put a bitch back in a bitch place. You know what I mean? So if you hit him with that if you hit him with that 5-finger sandwich, especially if you got them callus on the back, it's gonna be a little rough. So it might scratch while it's slapping. So it's a little extra cushy for your pushing, if you know what I mean. When I tell you, Bishop is completely city boys, projecting all his insecurities that he has onto Q. Especially because out of everybody, Q actually was the only one that had something going for himself. Q ends up telling Bishop, like, you're crazy, like, you're insane. And period. And Bishop was like, you know what? The first time you called me crazy, you know what? I was tripping. I was. But you know what else? I don't give a fuck. He had them crazy eyes too, city boys. He said, I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about Steel. I don't give a fuck about Raheem. And I don't give a fuck about myself. If he said, look, I ain't shit, I ain't ever gonna be shit. Like, once I decide that you ain't shit, you're done. You're dead. He ends up running away. And after this, Q ends up going to go get a gun. And his mom ends up knowing this lady. So he ends up buying this gun from this lady. I think he spent like $20, girl. I found that very interesting because his mom was telling him, oh, how like he should not go to the military. It's not even an option, all that kind of stuff. But you know, people that sell guns, Miss Man. I don't know. In my mind, it just gave me like Black Panther seeds. Like, you know. Because you know they had these branches in New York City, girl. Why the mom has connections and why she don't want him to go to war. Because, you know, a lot of the Black Panthers were against, like, wars and fighting for a country that doesn't support you. But yeah, so while this is all happening, Bishop ends up running into Radames again. And mind you, he ended up talking to the police and ended up giving Radames' name to the people who he thinks killed Quilez. So Radames is like confronting him, like, I heard that you were talking my name to the police, like da-da-da, like I'm gonna have to beat you up, all this kind of stuff. You know, they're going back and forth, they're arguing back and forth, whatever. Why Radames pulls out like a knife, like he's gonna like stab him in his nose or something, I don't know. Like stab him in his brain, I don't know. So as this is all happening, Bishop sees Steel and he sees Q, and they're like on the other side of the street walking. And at first, Steel was going to go and help Bishop because like at the end of the day, in his mind, like that's still his friend. But Q ends up stopping him from helping him. And Bishop sees him stopping him and they end up continuing to go their own way. So as this is happening, the police ends up coming in, breaking up the fight that was going on between Radames and Bishop. So as this is all happening, Radames is now running away because he doesn't want to get stopped by the police. Why the hell is Bishop following Radames, right? He sees him in the alley, he shoots him 5 times, city boys, and he leaves Radames in a fetal position. I'm not gonna hold you though, that is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. Because especially like, you a gangster. Like you over here like, oh, bullying people, you know? Like threatening to kill people and all that kind of stuff. And when you die, you like in a fetal position like a baby. I'm not gonna lie, it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing, I'm sorry. Then Q ends up getting a gun, okay? Because now he knows that Bishop saw him and he's going to be coming after him. Because we all know that he's not mentally stable at this point. So after getting the gun, Q ends up going back to Yolanda's place. And at first, he was not opening up to her about what's going on, but he still had an attitude. So she knew something was happening to him. And as she continues like to pry him open, basically, he ends up telling her that he knows what happened to Raheem and he knows what happened to Quilez, but he just can't say anything. And she's telling him like, are you involved in it? And he's like, no, I'm not involved in it, I just can't say nothing. So she's kind of like putting pieces together, but as they're speaking, they end up getting interrupted by a phone call. On the phone is who? Steel, girl. They're at the arcade place and Steel is calling because he is very scared of Bishop. Bishop is acting very erratic and Bishop showed up at his house and forced him to come out, basically. As they're speaking, why the hell does Bishop show up? And Bishop is like a jealous girlfriend, girl, and he yells at Steel and he's like, who's that on the phone? And then Steel gets quiet and he's just holding the phone, and Q is on the phone. He's quiet, he's silent, and Bishop grabs the phone and he's like, hello? Q just sits on the phone and he just hangs up. As he hangs up, he knows that he has to leave because he has to help Steel. So as he's on his way to find where Steel is, Bishop takes Steel and leads him into like this abandoned like alley. When I tell you, I don't know if Steel is a little bit on the spectrum, but after I seen somebody kill 2 people in front of me and threaten many times after that to kill me, I'm not going with you nowhere by myself, let alone in an alley where nobody else is there. Like at least in the pool house, if I was to go there with you, I'm screaming, he killed Raheem! He killed Raheem! Quilez! He killed Raheem! And I'ma act a fit, like I'ma throw a fit. So if you don't believe me, you're gonna call the police. The police gonna show up one way or another, no shade. So as he takes Steel to the back of this like alley, he's talking to Steel, he's like, no, I really wanted this to work out. Like I really wanted things between me, you, and Q to work out, but y'all just not cool no more. Like, y'all just ain't cool no more. And he pulls the gun out and shoots him. Girl, when I tell you, when I saw this the first time, I was like, yo, I'm not in the mood right now. I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood. So Steel ends up getting shot in his stomach. So he's laying on the floor. And when I tell you, Bishop skedaddles, city boys, he skedaddles. And as he leaves, why does he go straight to Samuel L. Jackson? And he is planting the little seeds. So he's like, oh, when I tell y'all I have not seen Steel and I have not seen Q, like, Q has been bugging. Like, I really think he on one. Like, I think he killed Raheem. I think he killed Raheem and Quilez. And I think he's about to kill Steel. I'm so scared. I hope he don't kill me next. And he leaves. He's talking to Samuel L. Jackson. I don't know. I don't know if it was just me or me. I'll show you guys a picture. it looked like Samuel Jackson was not believing him. Like, it looked like he was seeing right through, you know, the lies that he was trying to give him. So as this is all happening, why right after Bishop leaves, Q ends up coming into the pool house and he's talking to Samuel Jackson. And Samuel Jackson tells him, he was like, oh, it looks like you slid down a slide of razor blades and ended up in a sea of alcohol. I like that. It was like a mouthful, but I liked it. Q was confused because he's like, what the hell are you talking about? And he ends up telling him what Bishop told him. And Q was like, girl, you know me. Like, I would not do nothing like that. I'm not going to go and kill people. And Samuel Jackson's like, yeah, I know a lot of people. And a lot of them turned out to be killers. So I don't really know. So he ends up asking him, where the hell is Bishop? Do you know where Bishop is? And he ends up telling him where Bishop is. While Q was walking to the meter side, he has his gun and everything. And as he's walking, he ends up like running into this homeless man. And like, he ended up, I guess the homeless man like kind of jump scared him. He pulled his gun out and the homeless man is like, please don't shoot me. Please don't shoot me. Please, please, please. And like, this is messing with Q's mind because like, this is not the type of guy that he is. Like, he's not a violent guy. Like, he's a creative kind of guy, you know? So he takes his gun and he throws it into the river. Like, a little bit after walking for a little bit, we end up seeing, girl, a Batman angle. Why Bishop Batman now, girl? And he looking down at Q, girl. He over here tracking his moves and all this kind of stuff. The scene cuts and we end up seeing, Dale getting up, blood soaking, and he ends up getting wheeled into the ambulance and he gets taken to the hospital. Whose hospital? Yolanda's hospital, because she's a nurse. Yes, city boy, she's a nurse. As he gets wheeled into the hospital, she's asking him like, yo, still, like, what happened? He ends up telling her that Bishop is going crazy, he's killing everybody, and he's blaming Raheem. So as this is all going on, Raheem is just standing there, and when I tell you Bishop comes in from the blue, city boys, he comes in from like the black darkness and like this blue light glowing on him and like behind him. And when I tell you Bishop immediately puts his gun up to Q's head. And he basically tells him like, where you gonna at? Where you gonna at? And Q tells him like, I'm not like you. Like, even though we grew up together, even though we've been best friends since the 2nd grade, I'm not like you. Like, and I just can't be like you. Even though I tried, I just can't do it. And Bishop ended up telling him like, no, I heard that you bought a gun, so where is that? And he said, girl, it's in the river. He calls Q all types of stupid dummies, girl, and they start fighting, city boys. So as they're fighting, Q ends up getting a head start running away from him, and Bishop is just shooting. He ends up shooting Quincy in his right arm, city boys. Put a pin in that, city boys. So he shoots him, and now we are a whole chase scene. We end up getting inside this building, and Q runs into the elevator, and there's a whole bunch of people ends up coming into the elevator, and the elevator is just about to close. And somebody presses the button and it opens right back up. And we see Bishop standing right there. He's just staring at Q. And he gets into the elevator and he's facing Q and he's just staring at Q. And I'm not gonna hold you. If that was me, we would have been silent the whole damn elevator ride, city boys. We were gonna be silent like this. Cause why as soon as Q says, he says something like, oh, I know you're not gonna shoot me in the elevator. Why he started shooting in the damn elevator, city boys? And as he's shooting in the elevator, like, some guy, like, low-key, like, tackles him out the elevator. They end up, like, hitting the gun out his hand. Then this random guy that's wearing, like, an orange sweater, black, like, top and bottom, takes the gun and just hides it in his pocket. So after the guy ends up taking the gun, they end up getting into a little more of hand-to-hand combat. And as they're fighting, I believe the group name is Cypress Hill. Here is something you can't understand. Well, I could just kill him, man. So that is playing as the guys are fighting. Bishop ends up getting a head start run, and he runs into this party.
Hey, city boys, I am so sorry that we have to keep meeting this way. I deleted like 7 minutes of the ending, so I'm just gonna have to put it in like this. When I tell you, I had a day, okay? I may have some similarities to Bishop, because best believe, if I'm not winning a fight, I'm using weapons. I gotta make it fair some way, shape, or form. It's not fair because you got better fighting combinations than me, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna have to hit you with something else. So he's walking through a party, right? Because he's looking for a Bishop. And as he's walking through the party, alright, the house in itself, like the colors are like a nude palette. But it's covered in a black like shadow because, you know, it's a little dark in the room. One of the bedrooms is red and one of the bedrooms is blue. I was like, okay, come on. You know how I feel about the polars. And the polars are about to fight right now. And the polars are what? Q and Bishop. As he gets down, he ends up seeing Bishop. Girl, Bishop is such a punk. Because why now that he don't have his gun, he running? I connected this to, I don't know what the actual game is called, but it's like Cops and Indians, something like that. It's not a good representation, but we have to use it as an example, city boys. Who ends up usually winning in those games? The cops. But what happens when you take the guns from the cops? It's about strategy now, right? It's all about strategy. We gonna see what happens with Bishop if he don't got a gun. Is he on the same level as Q? Does he have the juice? They get on top of the roof. Like I said, very similar to the beginning of the movie when Bishop and Q were running and jumping over roofs and stuff, right? Running away from the police. You see how I made that connection? Police and Indians. As they're fighting on the roof or whatever, like I said again, Bishop is like me. Bishop had that 2x4 and he was whacking them. I would do the same. So as they fighting or whatever, I guess Q end up swinging Bishop's body, right? Headbutts Bishop. Now Bishop is dangling from the building. Don't let me go. City boys. He slipped right through his hands. When I tell you why he fall into like a pit of darkness, the screams got quiet. You ain't hear nothing. Girl, this is New York City, girl. You gonna hear them screams, girl. Why Q turns around, right? He goes to put his hoodie on, goes to go, get off the roof. Why is there a crowd of people on the roof? Clapping at Q talking about, the guy that he sold the record to, talking about, you got the juice now, man. Where was y'all motherfuckers at? Alright, yes, Bishop deserved to die. He was horrible. But where was y'all when he was dangling off the building? Was y'all there? Where was y'all when Q was getting beat up by a 2x4? Was y'all there? Y'all just stood there and watched the fight. So can I say that this movie was the original World Star Hip Hop? I don't know how I feel about that. I'm gonna give this movie a rating of, I'll give it an 8.9 out of 10. I would recommend it. City Boys, I told you I was gonna come back to y'all after I watched White Heat. And the movie wasn't bad. It was just long as hell. But watching that movie, you can see where Bishop is getting like his inspiration from, let's say, because him and the main character Cody, they do have a lot of similarities. I would say as in like the mental health issues. It wasn't really identified, but Cody was having like really bad migraine. He would be like the world would be spinning around him. He would like pass out and stuff. So he was a little bit mentally ill and he was a gangster and he was like robbing trains and a whole bunch of stuff. He had a very close relationship with his mom, and after the death of his mother, like, he really went crazy. He had a group of guys, and like, he was like the leader of the group of guys, but like, none of them really liked him, and he was like quick to kill off his friends. If he felt like they weren't going along with his plan, his ideas of how he wanted to run things, he was quick to kill them. He was quick to kill anybody, honestly. So I can see that's where Bishop got his like quick temper, especially like right after he watches White Heat at Steele's house. You can see a complete shift in his whole character, and like even like the way that he died, falling into like nothing, kind of like how Cody died in White Heat. I watched the Nexium Amnesia like movie breakdown on this film, so I can see where they're coming from as it relates to like this being all in Bishop's mind, especially like in the film. Other characters not being around certain characters, but they know exactly what's going on. It kind of leans to that kind of interpretation. There's just a lot of similarities. I want to talk about the names. Why did they choose these names? So the first name, which is the most important name in this whole film, is Bishop. So at first, when I thought about Bishop, I was thinking about a bishop in a church. You know, like the ones that oversees a church. That is like the teacher, the chief pastor, the administrator. You know, that's what I thought at first. But then City Boys, I really thought. And then I thought about the bishop piece in chess, City Boys. So for any of my City Boys that ever played chess, what is the importance of the bishop chess piece? A bishop chess piece is a long-range minor piece that moves any number of vacant squares diagonally. If you're on the white, you can only move to the white. If you're on the black, you can only move to the black. Each player starts off with 2 bishops, 1 light, value at approximately how much? 3 points each. City Boys, I'm going to connect these 3 points a lot when it comes to Bishop's character. You know what? Let me just get this other 3 out the way, just so you guys have it fresh in your mind. Out of the 4 boys, 3 of the boys have earrings. Raheem, and Q both only have 1 earring, I believe, on the left side of their ear. But Bishop now has 3 earrings. 1 on the left, I believe, and 2 on the right. At that time in the 90s, City Boys, it was believed that certain sides, if a boy gets his ear pierced on a certain side, it means a certain thing. One could mean like, you know, you just a cool player, and the next one means that you're gay. Okay, City Boys? And that kind of goes back into when Radamez was coming for him and saying that he gonna be gay like his dad. But let's continue. Bishops thrives in open games where few pawns block their diagonal paths, allowing them to control large sections of the board. Bishop in the film thrived once who was gone? Not the pawns, but Raheem. In his mind, the pawns in his game was his friends.
The pawns in his game was Quales and Radames. So once those pawns were gone, what did we see in Bishop? We saw Bishop act like he had the juice. He act like nobody could fuck with him. But then he realized one of the pawns that he wanted to take out, his biggest pawn, was Q. After he shot Q and realized he couldn't take Q down that easily, what did he do? City Boys, he ran. But let's continue. When we're going to talk about the gematria, we're talking about the breakdown of numbers and letters. Each letter has a number that coincides with it, depending on their order in the alphabet. So when we take Bishop and we put it into the gematria, we get 69, boys. 6 plus 9 is 15. 1 plus 5 is 6, City Boys. He's evil. He's representing the animalistic nature of man. And I'm not talking about man as in gender, I'm talking about man as in species. He's representing the want to take control and absolute power, or like in this film states, juice. But 6 is also a sign of the need and alerting the person or situation there needs to be a balance in time and a balance in emotions. And City Boys, Bishop is mentally unstable. And this is shown right at the end of the film when he's just playing a game on, one of the arcade systems. He loses a game and he starts freaking hitting the machine and want to break all the glasses into place. Next, we're going to talk about Q or Quincy. So I did it for both because he calls himself Q and he also calls himself Quincy. So for Quincy, you get 89. 8 plus 9 is 17. 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 symbolizes power, materialistic success, abundance, and authority, acting as a bridge between the spiritual and material world. It is known for representing balance, karma, and infinity. Quincy having, for one, such a close relationship with his blackness, but also his name representing 8, City Boys. He is the new beginning. So now we're going to get into some of the things that I had pinned, as well as some colors in the film. So Raheem's house is painted in blue. This is maybe to hint for the first wave of sadness that is going to be showcased in this film, as well as the overwhelming depression that his death caused to his mother as well as his friend group. Quincy's house is filled with color, but has a base of browns, leading into the sense of comfort, warmth that he felt in his household, as well as Quincy's knowing of the strength of true blackness, which is shown in the mural that he has on his wall of Malcolm X, as well as a poster of Nelson Mandela on the back of his door, as well as all the black power things that he has in his locker. Quincy was raised by a mother who not only supported his dreams, but she consistently reminded Quincy of his worth, not only as a man, but also as a black man. She also reminded him that he is more than just a body that the government can use for war. Dale's bedroom has an orange wall. Orange symbolizes energy, fertility. The color is also used to stimulate appetite. Color is also used to stimulate appetite, which is funny because Dale is the fat one in the group. Girl, no shade, and he was the one who was cooking for everybody. Social interaction and high visibility safety. The color is also widely associated with joy, also to signifying danger and caution. With just that color, City Boys. And mind you, we saw this color in the first 10 minutes of the film. It told you exactly who the character's description was this whole time. It shows the character arc that Steele's about to take place in, being the only one to survive Bishop's attack. While Tupac's character has a greenhouse, which represents envy, judgmentalism, or being judgmental, and materialism. I told you guys to remember the rings. City Boys, after he killed Raheem, he took the money that he got from killing Raheem and bought rings, City Boys. We're gonna get on to that. His house is empty. There's no warmth, there's no relief, and it's all shown in a lot of blues. Sadness. His life is covered in sadness. Bishop is always seen in dark colored clothing throughout the film, especially compared to his friends. After the death of Raheem, Bishop takes the money from his dying hands. He's now shown with gold chains as well as gold rings. Gold symbolizes wealth, status, triumph, and prosperity. In Bishop's mind, after killing Quales, and especially after killing Raheem, that his position in his friend group has risen. So technically, he is triumphant over those who he deemed as lesser than him. But gold also represents arrogance, City Boys, and pretentiousness. Once Bishop has the gold rings, his character is even worse. Now he's actively killing anyone that stands in his way. Dale having a clown poster in his room, representing who he is in his friendship circle, and who his friends see him as, especially with us talking about his friends being quick to joke about him having sex with the man. Q wearing the wooden beaded necklace. This shows his spirituality. These wooden beaded necklaces are connected to nature, grounding energy, and spirituality. Often used for meditation, they represent stability, growth, and removal of worldly desires. City Boys, I want to sit on that part for a little bit. The removal of worldly desires. Out of everybody in the group, who is the one who did not want to rob Quales? Q, because he had no reason to. The removal of worldly desires. City Boys, when Q won the DJ competition, he won what? The boombox. What did he do with it? He gave it away to his brother. Because yes, it reminded him also of the death of Raheem, but two. So the sneaker scene. I put a pin in the sneaker scene because Q skips over the black and white sneakers and lands on the brown sneakers. City Boy, what did I just say about Bishop's name? Bishops can only move on what? White and black. This is showing in little ways that Q is not going to agree or go along with the plans and the agendas of Bishop. Raheem's baby wearing the black jacket and the red hat. Raheem being in red is another hint to his faith in the film as a sacrifice for Bishop's journey to obtain the juice. But the red on the baby's body and head shows the effect that will have once the boy gets older and realize what happened to his father. The bubbling of anger, revenge, and a dangerous life that the boy may live due to his father being murdered. Q wearing a yellow and navy blue striped white pants, brown shoes. Although his actions are polarizing, he is walking in his innocence, standing grounded in the black reality and what is needed to succeed in it. When Blitz was about to rob the store, after Blitz was murdered for robbing the store, and Q and Bishop got into an argument, Q made it a point to tell him that it would be 3 dead black boys, and I'm liking that he emphasized the black part. Another thing I wanted to say about Bishop wearing the rings on all his fingers, it reminded me of like how basketball players or like football players, when they get those rings, those championship rings, they'll wear it, and with all those championship rings, you're considered the GOAT, you're considered the greatest of all time. In Bishop's mind, after killing these men, he's the greatest in the hood. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody gonna fuck with me. Everybody's gonna see me as, oh, he's unfuckable. The police department is the 56th precinct, and we were shown this when Radames Bishop were fighting. 56 meaning 11, gematria, which signifies that the two sides are about to collide, or Bishop and Q are about to collide 1 and 1. So the next thing that I want to talk about, guys, in the scene with the boys at the record store, I told you guys about 2 of the, I believe 4 or 5 vinyls that they took. I got 2 of them, all right? I found 2 of them, City Boys, and I listened to it. So the first one that I found was the one that Steele took, and it is called I Am Mad by EPMD. So what does this record talk about? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read you guys a verse from the song, and what we're gonna do is play a little game, and we're gonna connect it to a character, okay, City Boys? This is easy mode. When suckers tried to crash my shit straight from the start, a young black kid destined for success. No old gold, no cocaine, no butter seats. Straight up hard work, no sleep, no shorts. Brainstorming with the skills that Papa Duke taught to keep up swinging, yeah? And who does this sound like, City Boys? We're gonna get to one key point, and then I'm gonna ask you again. A young black kid destined for success. Straight up hard work, no sleep, no shorts. City Boys, that's Quincy. Next line. Watch a weak ass pose before you get smacked up. 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3. Who's that sound like? Bishop, cause he a punk. Bitch, that's when he was getting punked by Radames. Next verse. From the backstabbers, yeah, my so-called friends who swam in my pool when it was time to flex the bends. What does that sound like? From the backstabbers, yeah, my so-called friends. Well, technically you could say either Raheem or Steele, but we're gonna say Raheem, okay? Pass the Uzis to blow up any whack MCs that show up. There goes one, blast him now, hold up. Don't make me wait, because it might be too late. The punk might escape. Pass the Uzis to blow... Girl, let me say it again. Pass the Uzis to blow up any whack MCs that show up. There goes one, blast him now, hold up. Don't make me wait, because it might be too late. The punk might escape. Who was over here shooting people, City Boys? Bishop! And who might escape? Steele. Next. Steele taking the Booty Star by Roy Ayers. So that is a funk, jazz, disco kind of fusion album. City Boys, I listened to the album. It was a beautiful cover art. I might have to recreate it, no shade. But just a nice psychedelic little funky time. But what I picked up from the album is that it goes along with this color orange being in his room. He's literally just a light of happiness. Qualis facing the yellow candles and Raheem wearing a yellow sweater. Yellow usually signifies confidence and unity, or it can be used in unity, joy. The yellow candles are usually used it could be used in order to gain someone's confidence. The yellow candles connect to solar energy, meaning that it represents the illumination of the soul and the burning away of ignorance to reveal the inner truth. After shooting Qualis and shooting Raheem, what was revealed? Bishop's true intentions, his true identity was revealed. Whose energy was harvested? Raheem, and Qualis' energy was harvested. The yellow candle also represents the number 3. So City Boys, 3's in the number, 3's in his earrings, 3 in the candle that he shot Qualis in front of. And the last thing that I really wanted to touch touch on was the Caine and Abel story. Abel is represented by Quincy, and Caine is represented by Bishop. Caine and Abel were the first two sons of Adam and Eve. Both brothers were offering up offers to God. Abel offered his best, fat portions. He offered one of the biggest, one of the fattest animals in his flock. And Caine offered up some fruits and soil. It is generally interpreted that Abel's sacrifice was made with the betterment of his heart and greater faith. The reason why God took Abel's offering and not Caine's offering, because just seeing it outwardly, would you rather pick 5 bananas in a pear, or would you rather have a whole cow to yourself? Which one would you rather? But we're not looking at it like that. We're looking at it as what was in the hearts of these people when they gave it up. If I only had 2 pears and an apple, and I gave you 2 pears and an apple, that means more than somebody that has 25,000 cows and only gave you a little piece of brisket. Bishop offered up himself. He offered up his soul. And Quincy offered up his talent. And who ended up surviving in the film City Boys? God punished Caine by cursing him, making him wander for refuge, forcing him to live off the land east of Eden. And what happened to Bishop? He fell into an abyss. He fell into nothingness. Because it would be one thing if we saw his dead body laying on the floor, but we never saw that. We saw him fall into darkness, City Boys. God placed a mark on Caine to protect him from being killed again. What happened to Quincy? At the end of the film, Quincy was told by one of the guys that he has the juice now. And after that, at the ending of the film, we hear Q on the radio. He is not just a local DJ anymore, City Boys. He's out of the hood. And most of the time, the fight for juice is in the hood, because that's all you have. And City Boys, that was the story of juice. So City Boys, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm so sorry if I was just like a little bit lower in energy today and like in this video, in this movie breakdown. I am not feeling the best, City Boys. I'm in a lot of pain, so I thought that like making this video would help like distract my mind from like how I'm feeling, but it did not help. It honestly did not help. And I'm sorry for the list with my grills if that was like a problem watching the video. But my next movie breakdown is going to be I don't know what cause that is. My next movie breakdown is going to be The Wiz, starring Diana Ross and Michael Jackson. So I hope you guys you know what? Watch the movie before we talk about this, okay? So you guys watch the movie, because this one might be a little bit of a doozy. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. City Boys, please subscribe to my channel. Like, I am on my way to 1,000 subscribers. I am on the road to 1,000. Please help me get to 1,000 subscribers, City Boys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to City Boy. Bye, City Boys. Your favorite movie commentator is checking out. Coast to Saint, nevermore.